Price adjustment is the mechanism by which markets adjust to equilibrium where the market price, quantity supplied and quantity demanded are equal. Equilibrium is found where supply and demand are equal at point E0. This is the point where both sellers and buyers are agreeable with the price and quantity demanded of a good. In this example of the car industry, if the market price rises to P2, then Q3 cars would be supplied while Q2 cars is demanded and there will be a surplus of cars. The market will be in disequilibrium and will tend to adjust back. A surplus of cars will cause downward pressure on prices as seen by the two arrows pointing towards A. With downward pressure on prices, the price P2 will start to fall to P1 again. The market equilibrium will once again return to and the surplus does not exist anymore. In this example of the car industry, if the market price falls to P2, then Q2 cars would be supplied while Q3 cars will be demanded and there will be a shortage of cars. The market will be in disequilibrium and will tend to adjust back. A shortage of cars will cause upward pressure on prices at P2, as seen by the two arrows pointing towards A. With upward pressure on prices, the price P2 will start to rise back to P1. The market equilibrium will once again return to A. Change in the equilibrium occurs when demand or supply has increased or decreased. Assuming that there is an increase in the income of the people, this results in a demand increasing from D1 to D2. Assuming that the initial equilibrium is at A, after the shift of the demand curve, the new equilibrium has now shifted to B. Now, assuming that there is also an increase in the quantity of labor used to produce cars, this will shift the supply curve from S1 to S2. Assuming that the initial equilibrium was at B, after the shift of the supply curve, the new equilibrium has now shifted to C. We can see that changes in demand and supply factors can cause the market equilibrium to change. Let's look at the market for ice cream in diagram A. Suppose that the weather in the summer increased the temperature and at the same time the ice cream factory hired less temporary workers producing ice creams owing to the shortage of workers. To analyze this combination of events, we again follow a systematic method to finding the final equilibrium. Firstly, the summer weather increased demand for ice cream D1 to D2. Secondly, the worker shortage, a decrease in supply from S1 to S2. In this example, the demand curve has shifted right from D1 to D2 to a greater extent than the supply curve shifting left, S1 to S2. The result of these two shifts has caused equilibrium price to rise from P1 to P2 while output has increased from Q1 to Q2. However, in diagram B, where supply falls to a greater extent than demand increasing, the equilibrium output falls from Q1 to Q2 unlike in diagram A where quantity increased. In conclusion, these events certainly raise the price of ice cream, but their impact on the quantity of ice cream sold can either increase or decrease depending on the degree of shift of the demand and supply curves. Likewise, the price of good can rise or fall depending on the strength of the shift of demand and supply forces.